We do start with some breaking news tonight. Level 1 and 2 evacuations now in place for residents north of Wakanda. That's just west of Republic. So residents living in the area of Bunch Road need to get ready to evacuate. Level 2 is in that blue area right there, while level 1 is in that yellow area highlighted. The fire, now being dubbed the Walker Creek Fire, is pushing north according to authorities. Right now it is not clear how big it is or how many resources are on scene. Our other big story all week this week has been the wildfire smoke that continues to linger over much of the inland Northwest. Take a look at the map behind me right now. Spokane right here, much of eastern Washington shaded in orange. That actually means unhealthy for sensitive groups, which is an improvement from last night when we were in that unhealthy category. But here's the thing, it's not just the wildfire smoke we're dealing with, but also the return of the heat. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 11. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We have a lot to get to tonight, including those primary election results. But first, let's talk weather. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us from the Outdoor Weather Center tonight. Thomas, we have been dealing with this smoke all week, and now we can expect temperatures to climb back up, possibly into the triple digits again.
Yeah, and we're under heat advisories for those temperatures climbing close to the triple digits. And honestly, if not for the wildfire smoke, which is acting like some cloud cover, probably would have got there as well. It's 96 today, probably expecting about the same for tomorrow as well, as these heat advisories go until 11 o'clock on Wednesday evening. But we still have some of that wildfire smoke just blanketing the area. Air quality alerts going through Thursday as well. This is the latest satellite imagery that we had just before sunset. All this gray that you see on the map is just that thick layer of smoke all across not just the inland Northwest, but most of the country for that matter. But look at these big billowing thunderstorm clouds, the cumulonimbus, with thunderstorms that developed over the Cascades earlier this afternoon and have continued into northern Washington. There's a thunderstorm near the Grand Coulee area as well, and there's also one to the south of this map about to hit Pullman within the next 5 minutes. Look for that latest information on my Twitter page before Maine weather. But coming up, we're going to be tracking how long the bad air quality is going to stay in the region and when we're going to see a big change temperature-wise as well.
Sounds good, Thomas. Thank you very much. All right, let's talk those primary election results tonight. The results from the election determine which candidates will move on to the general election in November. KREM 2 political reporter Casey Decker in the studio tonight with those results. Casey?
Yeah, Mark, we got some races for Spokane City Council today. So let's go ahead and just start off with looking at District Number 1. That's Northeast Spokane. Right now you can see Jonathan Bingle with a commanding lead, 47% of the primary vote. Now that makes sense because he's the only conservative of these three candidates running for this seat. The two progressive candidates, Nagmana Shirazi and Luke Jasmine III, very close right now, 27%. 26%. I know if you probably can't see it on the screen here, but this is fewer than 50 votes dividing these two candidates. So still too close to call this race. It'll be interesting to see which progressive moves on to face Bingle in the general. It's important to note that just because he has such a commanding lead right now does not guarantee that he will win in the general. Whichever candidate on the progressive side doesn't move forward, likely their support will go to the one who does. And so it'll be a pretty tight contest then as well. But still, it'll be interesting to follow this race throughout the week as we see whether it'll be Shirazi or Jasmine facing off with Bingle in the November general. Now let's take a look at District 3. That's Northwest Spokane. And right now we're seeing Zach Sapone, a progressive, with 43% of the vote. That's a pretty impressive performance from him, considering there were several other candidates with a lot of strong campaign support, including Mike Lish coming in second. Right now he had tens of thousands of dollars spent on his behalf by the Realtors PAC, which typically is right-leaning, as is Mike Lish. After him, we have Karen Kearney. This one's kind of interesting because she really was completely self-funded, didn't have a lot of real establishment or any other kind of political support. And then down in fourth place, we have Lou Hill, who actually had quite a bit of grassroots support, a lot of donors, but still coming in fourth place right now. She was one of the other progressive candidates, along with Sapone, who's looking like a favorite to move on. Right now, it's looking like it's definitely going to be Sapone and Lish moving on to the general election. We can actually look at one more slide here as well, because there was a fifth candidate for this race. His name is Christopher Savage. Only 431 votes for him, though, so he will not be moving on. Now, you might also be wondering, Mark, about Position 2, District 2, that's the South Hill, kind of where we are here at the station. And a lot of people got their ballots and realized they didn't have any city races on their ballot. That's because there are only two candidates for that seat. In Washington, we have a top two primary system, so both of those candidates automatically move on to the general election. So you South Hill folks, you'll get to vote on that city council race in November.
All right, quick question for you, Casey. Any big surprises tonight in terms of that city council the races?
To me, the biggest surprise was the outcome of that Position 3 election. I wasn't expecting Sapone to be quite that dominant. He had a very strong campaign, but the fact that Lou Hill is all the way down there in 4th place, she actually had more individual donors than any other candidate for any race. And so the fact that she only got about 12% of the vote was very surprising to me. The fact that Karen Kearney got about 12% of the vote, despite having very little support in terms of money and things like that, was pretty surprising to me. But Sapone, he had a lot of support from local unions. He had a very well-run campaign, and so not a huge shock that he's doing so well, but it'll be interesting to see how he faces off against Flish in November, and we'll really be interested to see what happens with that District 1 race, whether it'll be Luke Jasmine or Nagmana Shirazi.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that one. Okay, let's move on to Spokane Public Schools, the largest school district in our area. 2 positions up for grabs for school board. How'd those races shake out tonight?
Yeah, well, let's take a look at them right now. You can see here in position 3, now 8 candidates ran for position 3, but really 2 of them just clear-cut winners in this election right now, Melissa Bedford and Daryl Gefkin. Interestingly, both of these folks have doctorates in education, but they are not very similar politically, even though their resumes are kind of similar. Bedford is more left-leaning, Gefkin is more right-leaning, so that will be an interesting showdown going into November. We can go ahead and look at the next page of this graphic here, and you can see really the 6 other candidates. A lot of these folks, by the way, they dropped out or they didn't really have real campaigns at all. They just kind of put their name down and then really didn't do anything to actually run for the seat. So none of these folks really making a meaningful impact on this election. It'll be Bedford and Gefkin going into November. Now the other position, a much tighter race. We actually have 4 candidates that have pretty impressive showings right now. Kata Dean is the leading conservative candidate. She right now is leading with 31% of the votes, so you can pretty much expect that she will be likely to move on to the general. And then Riley Smith, the progressive candidate who had raised the most money, so not a huge shock to see him up there in 2nd place with 24% of the vote. But this is what I'm surprised by. Colzine Fairley did not have a lot of money raised, just a couple $100, and she didn't have a lot of significant endorsements either, but right now she is beating out Rihanna Metu. He's down there in 4th place, despite the fact that he said that he had the endorsements of the teachers' unions, which is usually, a pretty strong, important endorsement when you're running for school board. The fact that Ametu right now sitting in 4th place, that one is surprising. But it'll be interesting to see Dean versus Smith when we move on to the general election.
All right, we know these are just the initial returns. They came out shortly after 8 o'clock tonight. Do we expect any of these results to change over time?
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, one of the things is right now turnout is just so low, about 18.5%, which is low even for an off-year election like this one, that a few votes can make a difference. We saw just a 50-vote difference between 2 candidates right now. So yeah, I think with the current tally is about 6,500 votes left to count. So we could see some races change. A lot of them, though, did look pretty clear-cut. But yeah, especially in that District 1 council race, that could go back and forth over the course of the next several days as more results come out.
All right, keep us posted, Casey Decker. Thank you very much. By the way, there are numerous other races in this year's primary election, so for the full list of results, just text the word election to 509-448-2000 and we'll send a link directly to your phone. By the way, our Casey Decker will be back with us to go over Spokane Valley City Council race. That's coming up later in the show. New tonight, the U.S. Senate has unanimously passed a bill to award the Congressional Gold Medal to the U.S. Capitol Police and other law enforcement who defended the Capitol back on January 6th. The bills call for the Treasury Department to make 3 gold medals, 1 for the Capitol Police Headquarters, 1 for the Metro Police Department, and 1 for the Smithsonian Institute. The bill now heads to President Biden's desk to be signed.
I believe women, and I believe these 11 women.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed 11 women and violated federal and state laws. That's according to New York Attorney General's office. A 5-month investigation found evidence that implicated Cuomo. Now President Joe Biden, alongside other lawmakers, calling for his resignation. Cuomo released a taped statement today where he denied all the allegations. A police officer has died after being stabbed near the Pentagon Metro station this morning. A suspect in the officer's death was shot and died at the scene. Now, investigators believe the suspect stabbed the officer, resulting in a struggle over the officer's gun, which then went off, and that suspect was fatally shot. The motive behind the stabbing remains unclear tonight. New tonight, the Inland Northwest seeing an alarming trend. COVID cases back on the rise. Today, Spokane Regional Health District reported 451 new COVID cases. However, the huge numbers come from a backlog of cases that were not reported since July 30th. 1 new death was reported, and currently 80 people are hospitalized in Spokane County. Now to North Idaho, where the Panhandle Health District also reporting 68 new COVID cases today. Currently 40 people are hospitalized there. And with the Delta variant becoming the dominant strain now, health professionals are warning those numbers will just continue to grow. Idaho Governor Brad Little addressed the state's growing COVID numbers today. He urged Idahoans to reconsider getting vaccinated if they have not done so already. Our Morgan Trout tonight in the newsroom with what health officials say may be the biggest factor in the spike of cases.
This coronavirus case surge is overwhelming the Panhandle Health District. They say their positivity rate for the district is about 10%, with more than 100 cases coming in daily.
The Panhandle Health District says there are currently 40 people in the hospital with COVID-19. 22 of those are in critical care. We haven't seen this many hospitalizations since February. Of the 5 counties the health district serves, they are predicting 3 will be in the red zone and 2 in the orange by Thursday when the latest data comes in. Red is the worst, meaning there is a substantial risk to the community.
Idaho is one of the least vaccinated states. Do you think that the reason why we're seeing such a surge here is due to the lack of vaccinations?
Absolutely. When we have so many in the population that are unvaccinated, that leaves every single body that is unvaccinated as an opportunity for the virus to mutate. And now it has mutated into something that's much more transmissible and can infect people really, really quickly. So that we left ourselves vulnerable, really.
Catherine Hoyer with the district says 96% of the people hospitalized due to COVID are unvaccinated.
Yeah, so every unvaccinated person in District 1, which is around 60% of the population, leaves the community vulnerable.
With more and more Idahoans getting vaccinated since the start of the year, we have seen a steady decline in cases throughout spring and summer. But now, COVID variants are spreading, and we're seeing more COVID cases and hospitalizations.
Governor Little says the vaccine has been tested, and while some have side effects, it's the only guarantee that you won't get sick from the virus.
Updated data will be coming out this Thursday for the Panhandle Health District's positivity rate, but they suspect it will be increasing by a significant amount. In the newsroom, Morgan Trout, KREM 2 News.
Still ahead tonight, we are continuing our team coverage for tonight's primary election. Our Casey Decker will join us again to break down the latest on Spokane Valley's City Council race. We are back in just 90 seconds.